Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs.
Bows and TKOs. We are live, episode 124, coming at you from the Valley. I'm your host, Shane Gillette, for this weekly MMA podcast, streaming anywhere you listen to your podcasts with videos on YouTube. Been doing this for a while, obviously 124 episodes since I've rebranded. Did like 130 episodes before that, each and every week, recapping the last week's action, previewing the upcoming week unless there's weeks off in the UFC. Breaking down PFL, some dirty boxing, some BKFC, karate, combat, whatever there is that is of interest to me, UFC, BJJ, Fight Pass Invitationals, you name it. But this week, I'm absolutely fired up. I don't even want to recap last weekend's Apex card. I just want to talk about the pay-per-view, but we're going to do it all, so let's jump right in. We have one fight that have been announced this week. We have Giga Chikadze taking on Kevin Vallejos on that Apex card on December 13th. And floodgates of names released from the UFC. I don't think any of these are really surprising. We have Yanal Ashmuz, who's been absolutely destroyed. Rolando Bedoya, Kwang Lei, Chris Barnett, Kurt Hollabaugh, who's had 2 stints in the UFC. And no surprise with Isaac Dulgarian with that sketchy situation and being investigated for fight fixing, being released from the UFC. But let's talk about what happened at UFC Fight Night Vegas 111. I went 500 on my picks. Not a great day in the pick'ems. Went 6-6. So overall, 755 wins, 379 losses, 10 no contests and draws. On the year, 271 wins, 137 losses, 3 no contests and draws. To recap this card, this card, I was worried about it being too grappling heavy, but there were 8 finishes in this fight and not a lot of grappling overall. The prelims started off well. The main card was very action-packed and delivered. I thought it was a great card, over-delivered expectations before this massive pay-per-view. I am recapping it a 6 out of 10. I previewed it a 5 out of 10. Some good fights that we did not break down. We had Zachary Reese with a round 2 submission via rear naked choke over Jackson McVee. Performance of the night, 50 G's for Zach. Then we had Josh Hokit with a round 1 TKO over Max Jimenez. Performance of the night, 50 G's. Nice mic moment by Josh Hokit. In his Contender Series fight with Josh, I didn't know if I'd like him or not. I don't mind it. He's doing his thing. He's trying to sell his fights. Great performance. He didn't even have to grapple. But let's start in the prelims. A fight I got wrong. We had Daniel Marcos with a round 2 submission via rear naked choke over Miles Johns. And again, I hit home on it the past few Miles fights. I said for Miles to win, he has to be the pressure fighter and the aggressor, and that was not the case here. Daniel showcased good movement. He was outstriking Miles from distance, and he even got a takedown in the first round of his own. Miles was more aggressive in round 2, but Marcos got more takedowns, and he was able to get his neck to get the finish. It's a pretty brutal loss for Miles in his prime at 31. He's going to be stuck fighting up-and-comers in the bottom of the division. And for Daniel, he's building a good resume. I think he's going to be fighting probably around the top 25 of a very deep bantamweight division. Looking at the stats, Miles only landed 33 total strikes, 28 of them significant. He was 0 for 1 in takedown attempts, but had 1 minute and 34 seconds of control time. And Daniel landed 42 total strikes, 27 of them significant. He had 3 takedowns in 4 attempts, a submission attempt, and 3 minutes and 59 seconds of control time. So Daniel starts a new winning streak. He moves to 1-1 since 2023. And Miles extends that losing streak to 3. He is 2-3-1 since 2023. So what's next? Well, I think Miles and Ricky Turcios would be great. And for Daniel, how about bantamweight newcomer Charles Jourdain? I think that would be phenomenal. Moving on to women's MMA, We had Denise Gomes with a unanimous decision over Tecia Pennington. Another fight I got wrong. I took both underdogs in these fights. It bit me in the butt. We knew one thing coming in, and we knew that Denise would have the power advantage, and Tecia would be the one throwing more volume. Those are very true in this fight. In round one, Tecia threw more combos, but Gomes was landing the bigger, cleaner shots, and Denise even got a takedown to win the round in round one. Well, round two was much closer when it came to volume, but again, when Denise landed, you could feel it, and it just wasn't the same for Tecia. But Tecia did defend Denise's 4 takedown attempts. You could give round 2 to Tecia, but I didn't. Round 3, Denise's early work was paying off, and she had Tecia beat up pretty bad, and she was slowing down. And Denise was able to get more takedowns and cruise to victory. She's added grappling, she's been working with the Brazilian team, and it's clearly paying off. I mean, Denise is cruising back into the top 15, while Tecia gets another loss and will be fighting out of the rankings probably for the back half of her career for as long as she has left. But she's great. I mean, she's the OG from Ultimate Fighter, and she has fought her ass off since she's had a baby. Statistically, Tecia landed 73 total strikes, 58 of them significant. She had 1 takedown in 2 attempts. And Denise landed 75 total, so only 2 more, 53 significant, so she actually had 5 less significant, 3 takedowns in 10 attempts, so credit to Tecia for that defense. She had a reversal and 3 minutes and 51 seconds of control time. It wasn't a lack of effort by Tecia by any means, but the younger Denise proved to be too much. So Denise extends her winning streak to 4. She is 6-1 since 2023, and she moves up 2 spots to number 13. And Tecia ends her 2-fight winning streak. She starts a new losing streak. She is 2-2 since 2023 and drops 2 spots in the rankings to number 15. So what's next for these ladies? Well, I do think Denise deserves to fight up. And if she wants, but, she's only 25. She's probably not in a hurry. So I think a fight with Piera Rodriguez makes sense. And for Tecia, how about a matchup with Jacqueline Amarim? Elsewhere, we had Jacqueline Cavalcanti with a unanimous decision over Mayra Bueno Silva. And Mayra talked a big game coming into this fight, said she was going to kick ass and show people what she's capable of. But she was pretty much stonewalled here. I mean, Jacqueline was able to stay at distance and pick at Mayra. She wasn't aggressive trying to close the distance. She didn't try to grapple or do anything, really. I mean, both women traded leg kicks throughout the fight, but the only damaging shots came from Cavalcanti. Jacqueline had Mayra beat down and bloodied up by round 3, and she put a stamp on it as she won all 3 rounds. I'm surprised Mayra didn't look to get takedowns, get in the clinch, up against the cage. Mayra kind of snuck her way into a title shot after winning 4 fights, but the winning streak was over the likes of Wu Yinan, I don't even know who that is, Stephanie Egger, and Lena Landsberg. She actually did originally defeat Holly Holm, but she got busted for Ritalinic acid and then got beat up by Raquel Pennington. It's pretty funny that she even got a title shot if you look back at it, as she isn't even close to championship potential, and Jacqueline showed that. Statistically, Mayra landed 46 total strikes, 39 of them significant. She was 0 for 4 in takedowns with 1 minute and 12 seconds of control time. And Jacqueline landed 87 total, 80 significant, so doubled her volume, and had 55 seconds of control time. So Jacqueline extends that winning streak to 8, now 5-0 in the UFC. She moves up 1 spot in the rankings to number 10. And Mayra extends that losing streak to 4 with the no contest, and she hasn't won since February of 23. She drops 1 spot to number 11. So what's next? Well, I think Jacqueline will get a chance to fight in the top 10. I think Macy Chiasson is the fight to make. And for Mayra, how about Jocelyn Edwards? Moving on, we had Raoni Barcelos with a unanimous decision over Ricky Simone, one of the fights I got wrong. And I was excited for this. Seemingly, it was going to be an even showdown. Ricky started the fight off really well in the first with his volume, his pressure, and his aggressiveness. But he actually lost the grappling battle to Barcelos, and Barcelos landed some good shots of his own. Barcelos was chopping the lower leg and, of course, winging those big shots up top. But round 2, the fight kind of flipped. Neither man had success getting takedowns, but Raoni was the fighter that was pressuring and having success landing strikes. I thought it went 1-1 for a winner-takes-all round 3. In round 3, Barcelos was relentless. He kept going like wild and outlasted Ricky to take the third and final round. I figured this fight would be in a 1-1 fight going into round 3 before it happened. I did not expect Barcelos to be the guy coming out on top and shutting him out in round 3. Tough loss for Ricky Simón. Statistically, Ricky landed 77 total strikes, 67 of them significant. He had a reversal, but was 0 for 6 in takedown attempts. He did have 1 minute and 25 seconds of control time. And Raoni landed 86 total strikes, 82 of them significant. So 9 more on the total, 15 more significant. And he had 1 takedown in 8 attempts. So they defended each other's takedowns really well. Now Raoni extends that winning streak to 4. Very impressive at late 30s in the bantamweight division. He's now 4-2 since 2023. And Ricky ends his 2-fight winning streak. He starts a new losing streak. He is now 2-4 since 2023. So what's next? Well, I think Raoni and Marcus McGee, or maybe Rob Font, should be next. And for Ricky, how about a showdown with Said Nurmagomedov? Moving on, another fight I got wrong in the prelims. We had Jamall Emmers with a unanimous decision over Hyder Amil. And all I can say is, what a performance by Jamall. He showcased great wrestling to take Hyder down and control him for majority of the fight. I mean, round 1, Hyder did have some success, landing some combos and some big shots. But Emmers went straight grappling mode, getting 2 takedowns. And round 3 was even more control from Jamall. He had Hyder completely exhausted from all the grappling and attempts to try to get back to his feet. I will say, though, there wasn't a lot of submission threat, but Jamall did land some good ground and pound to win the fight. Statistically, Hyder landed 80 total strikes, 47 of them significant. He was 0 for 1 in takedowns. And Jamall landed 83 total, so 3 more, 50 significant, 3 more significant. But the difference was 7 takedowns and 8 attempts. Hyder's going to have to work on that, but you have to credit to Jamall. If he wanted it, he got it. He had a submission attempt and 8 minutes and 35 seconds of control time, so a round and a half. But Jamall extends that winning streak to 2. He is 4-2 since 2023, and Hyder extends his losing streak to 2. He is also 4-2 since 2023. I really think Jamall and Gabriel Santos should be next. And for Hyder, he could look to rebound against veteran Billy Quarantillo. I think that would be an awesome fight. The story of this card, though, was the start of the main card. Christian Leroy Duncan with a round 2 knockout over Marco Tulio. Well-deserved performance of the night, 50 G's for CLD. And as I said last week, when I saw CLD come into the UFC and make his debut against Dusko Todorovic, I knew he showed a shit ton of potential. I mean, he was young, he was clearly raw, but he had quickness and striking creativity that was very intriguing to me. He's had some up and downs, but I think he's the best version of himself today. As he begins his prime, he is going to be a real problem in the division, and I think is a potential champion. But round 1, this fight was very competitive. Both guys were pretty measured as they respected each other's power. Marco was mixing in takedowns, but CLD was able to get back up to his feet. Both men continued to land some shots, but CLD had the more meaningful moments to win round 1. In round 2, both men met in the middle, and they went after it, man. CLD was landing some big shots, landed some beautiful spinning techniques, and once he had Marco wobbly, CLD just loaded up with a massive right hand. It sat Marco down, and CLD was able to get the finish. Again, I thought the winner of this would be on a rocket ship. That is CLD. I don't think Marco lost much stock in this fight. He does have to go back to the drawing board. But if you don't know, now you know. CLD is a legit problem in the middleweight division. Looking at the stats, CLD landed 40 total strikes, 23 of them significant, with a takedown, a knockdown, and a minute and 10 seconds of control time. Marco landed 42 total strikes, 27 of them significant. He had 2 takedowns in 5 attempts and 2 minutes and 33 seconds of control time. So CLD now extends that winning streak to 3. He is 6-2 in the UFC since 2023. And Marco extends his 10-fight winning streak, or ends his 10-fight winning streak, and starts a new losing streak. Now everyone wants to know what's next for CLD. I think you book him against Nursultan Ruzaboev. That would be an absolutely box office showdown. And for Marco, how about a scrap with Marc-Andre Barriault? Both of those, sign me up right now. Moving on, another fight I got wrong. We had Chris Padilla with a round 2 TKO over Ismael Bonfim. And this fight had some weird stuff happening. I mean, Ismael missed weight by 5 pounds. He looked off on the weigh-ins like he was injured. There were injury rumors, but I haven't heard anything since. On Friday after the weigh-ins, I thought about changing my pick, but I just said fucking screw it. And once they entered the octagon, it was all Taco. I mean, he was taken down, but was able to get back up. And once he was up, he showed off his Muay Thai in the clinch. And he did a good job with leg kicks to put it on Ismael before he got the finish. I mean, Bonfim is in a tough spot now. He's about to enter his prime. But Padilla is going to have some fun fights ahead in a very deep lightweight division. Bravo, Chris Padilla. What a performance. Statistically, Chris landed 88 total strikes, 64 of them significant. He had 3 minutes and 21 seconds of control time. And Ismael landed 47 total strikes, 42 of them significant. He was 1 for 3 in takedowns, but Chris damn near doubled up his effort. So Chris now is low-key on a 7-fight winning streak, 4-0 in the UFC. Myself included, he's not being talked about enough. And Ismael extends his losing streak to 2. He is 2-3 since 2023. So how does Chris rebound from here? I think a fight with Cowie Fernandez is in store, while Ismael can fight Daniel Zellhuber. Moving on, we had Uros Medic with a round 1 knockout over Muslim Salikhov. Bravo, Uros. I mean, you knew this was going to be a 1-round fight with a bunch of aggression and a finish, but Uros came on top this time. Muslim didn't even have a chance to get going. I thought it would go the other way. Statistically, Muslim landed 2 total and significant strikes, and Uros landed 9 total and 8 significant strikes with the knockdown. After the fight, he said, "I'll fight again on the card. I don't give a shit. Book me soon." But now Uros extends that winning streak to 2. He's 4-2 since 2023. And Muslim ends his 3-fight winning streak. He starts a new losing streak. He's now 3-3 since 2023. Then in the flyweight co-main, we had Joseph Morales with a round 1 submission via guillotine choke over Matt Schnell. I mean, welcome back to the UFC, Joseph Morales. The Ultimate Fighter Championship 3 months ago, now this. I mean, he has showed up and delivered his A-game. I mean, Matt inserted his grappling chops, and not only was Joseph able to hang with the grappling, but he did better with the 50-50 scramble positions, and he was able to take control and get a first-round finish against a very good veteran. I mean, bravo. Joseph Morales looks like a problem. I think there is so much fun young talent in the flyweight division. I think the 125, 135, 145, and the welterweight divisions are the best divisions in the UFC by far. Looking at the stats, Matt only landed 5 total and 4 significant strikes with a reversal and a takedown. Joseph landed 12 total strikes, 5 significant with a submission, a reversal, and 1 minute and 12 seconds of control time. So Joseph extends that winning streak to 5. He's now 2-0 in his UFC return. He enters the rankings at number 15. And Matt starts a new losing streak. He moves to 1-3 since 2023. He's struggled to get fights and hasn't been super active. But what's next? Let's book Joseph and Jose Ochoa in a banger. I mean, the flyweight division's so much fun. And for Matt, he could take on Clayton Carpenter. In the main event, a lot of people were picking Randy Brown, but Gabriel Bonfim had a beautiful round 2 TKO over Randy Brown. Performance of the night, 50 G's for Gabriel. I mean, I think everyone expected Randy to show Gabriel a thing or two while standing. Gabriel has looked a bit chinny in the past, but Gabriel was landing 100% leg kick powers. It just brutally beat up Randy and set the stage for Bonfim to land some big shots upstairs that knocked Randy down. And when Randy hit the mat, it seemed like he was out, hit his head, and woke back up, but he clearly didn't look right. A lot of people thought this could have been an early stoppage. I thought it seemed appropriate. I'm usually pro let it go. I just don't think Randy would have survived this situation anyways. Regardless, this is all about Bonfim, a massive showcase and performance. You know, Randy misses his crack at the top 15 again. It'll be a long, brutal road for him. Statistically, Gabriel landed 35 total and significant strikes with a knockdown, and Randy landed 33 total and significant strikes. So Gabriel extends that winning streak to 4. He is 6-1 since 2023. He moves up 4 spots in the rankings to number 10. And Randy starts a new losing streak. He is 4-3 since 2023. Where does Gabriel go next? I think he needs to step up. In the top 10, a fight with Jeff Neal would be fantastic. And for Randy, how about a fun fight against Jake Matthews? But yeah, the card delivered, it over-delivered. CLD stole the show. I mean, Gabriel Bonfim's right there as well. Slight work by Joseph Morales and Uros Medic. Chris Padilla, someone needs to give him some more credit. Jamall Emmers, really looking nice. Yaoni Barcelos is not slowing down. Cavalcanti still undefeated in the UFC. Denise Gomes really putting it together, as well as Daniel Marcos. A very solid card. But I don't want to live on that card. I want to live on Saturday night in New York fucking City, Madison Garden, UFC 322. I have to see a fight in Madison Square Garden. I've only walked around it. I got goosebumps. If I'm going to go, it's going to be for a UFC, but those tickets are a little pricey. Regardless, with a stacked card like this, you don't just have prelims. You got early prelims. They're at 3 p.m. Pacific. Prelims at 5 p.m. Pacific on ESPN News. For those of you on YouTube TV, including myself, hopefully this shit gets figured out soon. But to preview this card, I mean, it's simple. At the end of the day, we get an opportunity for 2 double champs and 2 of the best fights that you can make in the UFC today at MSG. This shit's massive enough for the main card. But the prelims are absolutely stacked. The early prelims have juice as well. I am previewing this a 9 out of 10. I have not previewed a card this high since the 300 to 302 3 back-to-back amazing cards. We only have one fight we will not break down. We have Contender Series alum Beisinger Sursakayev taking on Eric McConico. If you don't know about Sursakayev, he trains with Kamzat, a fellow Chechen, and he won his Contender Series fight, fought and had his UFC debut victory a week later, and now is fighting on one of the biggest cards of the year. But let's kick this sucker off in the early prelims. We got Angela Overkill Hill, 40 years old with an 18-15 record and the number 12 next to her name, taking on Fatima, the Archangel Kline, 25 years old with an 8-1 record. When I look at picking or even looking at this fight, I think immediately last week of the Denise Gomes Tecia Pennington fight, but this is a lot different situation. I've always enjoyed Angela since she's come from The Ultimate Fighter. I think she's always overlooked and she always over-delivers. And although she's 40, she's still a beast and still has cardio for days. I mean, Angela continues to stay as active as anyone at age 40. This is her 3rd fight this year. She has fought a lot of up-and-coming talent, very good competition, and she's fared well for the most part. And again, I think she's still as high action and high volume in her fights as ever. You know, she did seem to slow down in her last fight, but she was taken down a few times for once. Usually she's taken her opponents down. You know, Fatima has 2 wins via finish this year, and a win here, she would already be in the top 15 at 25 years old. Breaking it down, Angela trains out of Alliance MMA. She has a purple belt in BJJ. She's an Ultimate Fighter and an Invicta alum. She's a former Invicta champion with 1 successful title defense. She has the 2nd most fight of the night bonuses in UFC women's history, all weight classes, with 4, behind the one and only Bate Estaca Jessica Andrade. She has the most bouts in strawweight history with 27. The second most bouts in all of UFC women's history with 28, behind, of course, Jessica Andrade. She has the most wins in UFC women's strawweight history with 12. The most total fight time in strawweight history was 6 hours, 27 minutes, and 45 seconds. It's absolutely insane. She has the most total fight time in all of UFC women's history. She's fought in other weight classes. 6 hours, 42 minutes, 45 seconds. She's going to add to it this weekend. She has the most significant strikes landed in strawweight history, 2,101. The most significant strikes landed in all of UFC women's history, 2,186. The most total strikes landed in strawweight history at 2,474. The most unanimous decision wins in strawweight history with 8. She's tied with Tecia Pennington for most decision wins in strawweight history at 9. The most decision bouts in UFC strawweight history with 22. The most decision bouts in all of UFC history with 23. She's tied with Jorge Masvidal, Clay Guida, Paul Felder, Courtney Casey, and Andrea Lee for most split decision losses in UFC history with 4. She also has the most losses in UFC women's history with 15. She's on a 1-fight losing streak and even 3-3 since 2023, and 5 of her 18 wins are via knockout. Now, Fatima has a BJJ style. She's an Invicta alum and Cage Fury alum and former champion. She's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 2-1 in the UFC. 4 of her 8 wins are via knockout, and she has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Now, this is an interesting fight as you continue to think that Angela is eventually going to slow down. But she's been in great shape at 40. She still likes to pressure her opponents and mix in takedowns so that her opponents are never comfortable. I do think Fatima is going to be doing too much, but trying to find positions and defending Angela's attacks. And if she gets taken down, she has good jiu-jitsu, but Angela has done great with top control pressure and not putting herself in a dangerous position. I think unless Fatima could find a big shot and knock out Angela, I don't think she'll win on the scorecards. You know, again, stylistically, Fatima has good BJJ, but Angela does a good job controlling her opponents, and I don't expect her to be in submission danger. Angela also has never been knocked out in her career. Her only finished loss was via submission, and that was against my favorite woman fighter of all time, Rose Namajunas, via rear naked choke back in 2015. Now, I think Fatima is going to be a solid fighter, but she's still pretty green and hasn't fought high-level competition yet. For that reason, I'm taking Angela Hill. Let me pull this up. I don't got the odds up. The UFC website never shows the odds anymore. I'm pretty sure Angela's the underdog. Let's look. Plus 400. Well, I'm taking the big underdog. The dog's coming to eat. I'm taking Angela Hill. Of course, not putting this on a parlay. It just feels like destiny to me. Moving on. We have Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal. 33 years old with an 18-6-1 record. Taking on Pat Sabatini. 35 years old with a 20-5 record. This is a sneaky good fight on the early prelims. 2 men in their primes who is, I think, has the time now to make waves in the shallow featherweight division. You know, Chepe still hasn't tasted defeat in the UFC. He's oppressed against quality competition. And these two have actually fought back in 2018 in Victory FC, where Chepe won via split decision. You know, Pat has had an up and down few years, but he is looking to keep the good vibes going after his dominant fight versus a quality Joe Anderson Brito. Breaking it down, Chepe trains out of Syndicate MMA. He has a judo style. He's a Ring of Combat, LFA, Cage Fury, and Cage Warriors alum. He's on an 8-fight winning streak, 5-0 in the UFC, 7 of his 18 wins are via knockout. 3 of his 6 losses are also via knockout. So to knock out or be knocked out. Now, Pat has a black belt in BJJ and Tang Soo Do. He has a D1 wrestling background at a Ryder University. He's a Cage Fury alum and former champ with 3 successful title defenses, also a Ring of Combat alum. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 3-1 since 2023. 12 of his 20 wins are via submission. 3 of his 5 losses are via knockout. I really do think Pat is still a grappler first, although he showed good hands in his last fight. You know, he's in his prime. He's been working at it. But Chepe brings relentless pressure and is constantly in your face. Chepe also has solid wrestling of his own. I think he will look to put a pace on Pat and wear on him and tire him out. I don't think you're going to tire Pat out in 15 minutes, but Pat is going to have to find a way to bring his own pressure and get his own offense going. I just think Chepe is going to control the distance and the pace and where the fight goes. I do also think Chepe is going to take more risks with his striking, and for that reason, I think he gets it done. Plus, Pat has been knocked out in both of his last losses, so he is an underdog. I'm taking another underdog. The dog's coming to eat. I'm taking Chepe Mariscal, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. This is a pretty 50-50 fight. Moving on, we have Kyle the Darce Knight Daukaus, 32 years old with a 16-4 record, taking on Gerald GM3 Mearshart, 37 years old with a 37-20 record. Now, Gerald, he's somehow still staying surprisingly active, even though he was quickly finished 3 months ago and has 2 losses this year. He's nearing 38 years old. He's definitely slowed down, in my opinion, but apparently he wants all the smoke. I mean, he's taken on Kyle, who's getting a second chance with the UFC after going 2-4-1 in his first UFC stint. Kyle had a very impressive performance, getting a round 1 finish against a very good Michelle Pereira less than 3 months ago. Breaking it down, Kyle trains out of the Forge MMA. He has a black belt in BJJ, a purple belt in Muay Thai. He's a Cage Fury alum and former champ with 4 total title defenses over 2 separate reigns. He's also a King of the Cage, Ring of Combat, and Contender Series alum. He has the most Cage Fury middleweight title fight wins with 6. He's on a 5-fight winning streak, 1-0 in his UFC return. 11 of his 16 wins are via submission. 2 of his 4 losses are via knockout. And he has a 3-inch leg reach advantage. Now, Gerald has a southpaw stance. He has a black belt in kickboxing and BJJ. He's a King of the Cage, Titan FC, an RFA alum, and former champion. He has the most submission wins in UFC middleweight history with 11. The highest submission finish rate in UFC history. He has 11 submissions in his 12 wins. That's 91.7%. He has the most finishes in UFC middleweight history with 12. He has the highest finish rate in UFC history with 12 wins, 12 finishes. That's 100%. And this is only considered for people that have at least 10 wins. He's tied with Michael Bisping for second most bouts in middleweight history with 24. He's on a 3-fight losing streak and is 2-5 since 2023. 29 of his 37 wins are via submission, 6 via knockout, so 35 of his 37 wins are via finish, and 9 of his 20 losses are via submission. To submit or be submitted. Now, Gerald hasn't won since August of last year. He has been finished in 2 of his last 3 losses. I just have no confidence in Gerald being able to hang on the feet as he looks so slow. You know, Kyle is very hungry, this being his second stint. He's in his prime. He has the power advantage. I think Gerald is going to have to find a way to close distance and get Kyle down to have a chance. I just don't think that's going to happen. You know, if GM3 gets finished again, I wonder if he retires, if that's even on the table. But clearly he is confident in himself. He's staying active. He's taking on stiff competition, so who knows. But I'm taking Kyle Daukaus. I am putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Weird. So these odds have Wellmaker fighting someone else. Hopefully Cody didn't drop out. Oh, wow. 1 hour ago. Malcolm Wellmaker gets new opponent on just 2 days' notice. Cody Hayden was forced off the card at the last minute due to an injury suffered in training during fight week. He's been pulled, and the UFC scrambled to find a new replacement. Stepping into the bout on short notice is Ethan Ewing, who holds an 8-2 record overall, and he'll make his octagon debut on one of the biggest cards of the year. Due to the late change, Wellmaker versus Ewing is now taking place as a featherweight fight. Let's look at Ethan Ewing. Never heard of this guy. Big balls by Ethan, man. So Ethan's 27 years old with an 8-2 record. His last fight was out of Uriah Faber's A1. He won by round 1 knockout. He has one fight with the LFA. And he started in the LFA with a loss and a heel hook loss in Cage Warriors. I'm not familiar with any of his opponents. But man, could you imagine these scenes? He is a plus 365 dog live odds. Malcolm Wellmaker minus 465. I was excited to break this fight down, but we will not break it down with a short notice opponent. All you got to know is if you don't know Malcolm Wellmaker, make sure to tune in. The UFC is hyping this guy up. He has a ton of potential and still pretty green in his pro career at 10-0. He is a problem in the bantamweight division. And he is 31, so it sucks that he keeps having, opponent changes. He was supposed to fight Sergey Sidi originally, so he's had 2 opponent changes, but you got to take the MSG fight if you can. Fighting up, yeah, that sucks, but hopefully he gets a big opponent after this. So I guess moving on, we have Erin Cold-Blooded Blanchfield, 26 years old with a 13-2 record and the number 4 next to her name, taking on Tracy Cortez, 31 years old with a 12-2 record and the number 8 next to her name. Now these two are actually rematching from their Invicta fight pre-UFC back in 2019. Tracy is a few years older than Erin, and Erin was very green then because Tracy did get the win. But for me, Erin, since she's come to the UFC, has dove right into the deep end and tested her talents against the best. And I think this is a stylistic nightmare with her offensive wrestling. Tracy has only lost to Rose Namajunas in the UFC, where she was taken down in all 5 of Rose's attempts. Tracy had been battling through some life stuff. She wasn't very active. I do think she is the best version of herself today. She is in fantastic shape, and if she can defend takedowns or get up quickly, she will have a shot in this fight. Breaking this one down, Erin has a BJJ style with a black belt. She's a Cage Fury and Invicta alum. She's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 3-1 since 2023. 4 of her 13 wins are via submission. Now, Tracy trains out of Fight Ready MMA right here in Phoenix or Scottsdale. She's an Invicta and Contender Series alum. She's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 2-1 since 2023. And I will say, Tracy has looked impressive. In June against Viviane Araujo, she dominated. And Erin had been out of the octagon for a year, so I'm excited to see what she's added to her game. I think that while standing, this is a close fight, and there should be some emotion involved by both women. Erin's trying to get that fight back from Cortez. I do think the winner here will be in the mix for a title, so I do expect a very competitive fight. But I am taking Erin Blanchfield. We are putting her on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. I can't wait for Saturday. Oklahoma, Alabama, ABC. Oklahoma season's on the line. Beating Alabama, I think, the last 3 times they played. Right into UFC 322 action. I'm going to go to a nice sports bar, enjoy myself. Quite an evening. Your boy is absolutely hyped. Speaking about being hyped, we're still in the prelims, boys. And this shit is unreal. When this man steps in the octagon, I'm all tuned in. But this fight is awesome. We get Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez, 33 years old with a 17-6 record, taking on Roman Kopylov, 34 years old with a 14-4 record, and then number 15 next to his name. I mean, boy, oh boy, this is a fun, violent affair. Roman has 4 finishes since 2023, and Gregory has 3, and the losses that he has, he's been finished. I mean, Roman has fantastic kickboxing, and Gregory literally is his nickname. He is RoboCop. He stalks his opponents down and fires away with insane power. It breaks his opponents. And as the fight wears on, they don't stand a chance. I mean, if Roman could get this fight late into the second and into the third round, I could see the momentum swinging his way, but he's going to have to earn it and stand his ground early. Breaking it down, Gregory trains out of Killcliff FC. He has a black belt in BJJ. His last 2 fights have been performance of the night or fight of the night. He shows up, he shows out. He's a Jungle Fight, Island Fights, LFA, and Contender Series alum. He's a former LFA champion. He's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 4-2 since 2023. 11 of his 17 wins are via knockout, and 4 of his 6 losses are also via knockout. So to knock out or be knocked out. Now, Roman has a southpaw stance. He's a Fight Nights Global alum and former champ with 1 successful title defense. He has the highest takedown percentage in UFC middleweight history with 87.8%. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 5-2 since 2023. 12 of his 14 wins are via knockout. 2 of his 4 losses are via submission. Now, Roman struggled to find the mark and control the distance and the pace of the fight versus a very big and powerful Paulo Costa back in July. So I'm not sure how he can handle Gregory's pressure and power here. He's going to have to stick and move and utilize his kicks. Lower leg kicks are going to be crucial as he's going to have to try to get RoboCop's power and pressure away. I think that's the move. But I do think RoboCop steamrolls himself to another victory. For that reason, I'm taking Gregory Rodriguez. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Again, how stacked is this card? We haven't even finished in the prelims. I am absolutely excited to see the Chepe Mariscal rematch against Pat Sabatini. Both men have things to prove. I can't wait to see RoboCop in there. Malcolm Wellmaker, although a new opponent. Title opportunities on the line in the rematch with Tracy and Aaron. And then in the prelim headliner, we get Bo Nickel, 29 years old with a 7-1 record, taking on Rodolfo the Black Belt Hunter Vieira, 36 years old with an 11-3 record. And Bo has been probably one of the more hyped fighters, especially American, coming into the UFC since moving on from his amazing wrestling career. But his loss against Rainier de Ritter put a silence to his hype. You know, nobody is really talking about Bo, and this is another stiff test for him in his young MMA career. You know, he's only had 8 pro fights, 2 of them Contender Series. But I think he's going to start needing to make highlights if he wants to spot at the top of the middleweight division. And Rodolfo, you know, he's a black belt hunter for a reason. He probably is one of them, has some of the most accolades outside the UFC before coming to the UFC. But breaking this down, Bo clearly has a wrestling style. He has a D1 wrestling background out of Penn State, where he's a 3-time NCAA champion. In his freshman year, he placed second. He was also a 2019 national champion and U23 world champion in 2019. He has a southpaw stance. He trains out of American Top Team. He has a blue belt in BJJ. He was the 2023 Rookie of the Year. He's an Icon FC and Contender Series 2-time alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 4-1 in the UFC. 4 of his 7 wins are via submission and 2 via knockout. So 6 of his 7 wins via finish. His one loss was via knockout, but he does have a 3-inch reach advantage and a 2.5-inch leg reach advantage. Now, Rodolfo has a BJJ style, obviously a black belt in BJJ. He's a 2015 ADCC world champion. That's the toughest event to win. He's the best of the best. And in 2011, he also won in the absolute category, which means no weight classes. He's also a champ in 2012, 2013, and 2014 as an IBJJF world champion. 2 of his last 4 fights have been performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He has the most arm triangle submissions in UFC history. He's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 3-1 since 2023. 9 of his 11 wins are via submission. Now, I expect Bo to look for opportunities to get takedowns as much as possible, but Rodolfo is a big and strong middleweight. He clearly has great grappling skills of his own, so it'll be interesting to see how good Bo's MMA grappling is. Rodolfo defended both of Andre Petrosky's takedowns, and other good grapplers like Anthony Hernandez and Cody Brundage didn't even try taking him down. I do think majority of this fight should be standing, so expect a lot of boxing. The only time we've really seen Bo stand and strike was in his fight against Paul Craig. And in that fight, he only landed 54 strikes and threw 85 of them in 15 minutes. Now, Rodolfo's hands looked good against Trayshawn Gore, but Bo is going to have the speed and the cardio advantage. For that reason, I'm taking Bo nickel. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. This is the moment for Bo. He gets to rise or be sunk in the UFC. I have to buy this pay-per-view, even though I'm going to go watch it, because I'm probably going to want to rewatch it, break down film, so we could talk about it next week. I mean, these 5 fights are absolutely fucking bonkers. Legit. But we're going to kick it off. We got the start to the main card. Beneil Dariush, 36 years old with a 23-6-1 record, and the number 9 next to his name, taking on Benoit, the God of War, Saint-Denis. 29 years old with a 15-3 record, and the number 13 next to his name. Now, I've been a Benny fan for a long time. I think Beneil is very underrated. You know, he's not trying to be a star. He doesn't say a lot on the microphone. And after 2 losses in 2023 against championship-level competition and not fighting in all of 2024, I and everybody else really didn't know what to expect in June. I thought he over-delivered by absolutely dominating the very hot Renato Moicano. This never really works out, but if you follow MMA math, you would think Dariush would win fairly easy with his striking and grappling because Renato Moicano took it to BSD and was completely dominated. You know, he was battling staff right before the fight, so who knows how fresh he was. Plus, he was without a coach. Now he has a new coach. A lot of things to be determined here. But we do know BSD is an absolute wrecking ball. I mean, he's from the Armed Forces, Special Forces in France. He is kill or be killed. He is 2-0 this year. And a win at MSG would set him up to fight the best of the incredibly talented top 10 at lightweight. Breaking it down, Beneil has a BJJ style. He trains out of King's MMA. He has a black belt in Muay Thai. He's a 2008, 2009, and 2010 World No-Gi champion. He also won in 2009 in the open weight class, which means no weight limit. He's tied with Donald Cerrone and Charles Oliveira for second most wins in UFC lightweight history with 17. He had the 2020 comeback of the year against Drakkar Klose. He's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 1-2 since 2023. 8 of his 23 wins are via submission. 5 of his 6 losses are via knockout. Now, Benoit has a brown belt in BJJ, a black belt in judo. He's the first French fighter to compete and win on a UFC card in France and be ranked in the lightweight division. He's a Brave alum. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 5-2 since 2023. 11 of his 15 wins are via submission, 4 via knockout, so all 15 via finish, and 2 of his 3 losses are via knockout. Now, out of these 5 main card events, I think this fight could go everywhere very often. It's the more well-matched one of the card, in my opinion. Besides probably Zhang Weilei and Valentina. You know, this fight, as it is with most of BSD's fights, and a lot of Benny's as well, is going to be chaos. I mean, the striking exchanges should be plentiful. BSD is going to try to pressure Dariush, and Dariush is going to have to make him earn it. BSD probably does have the power advantage, but Beneil Dariush is sneaky fast and has really good power as well. I do think Beneil, though, is so technical, smart, he has high cage IQ, and he's been there, done that. Both men will look for takedowns, but I think this fight stays standing more than not, and I'm taking the underdog, the dog's coming to eat. I'm taking Beneil Dariush, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Moving on. Man, this fight, this fight's going to make a lot of questions answered as well. We got Leon Rocky Edwards, 34 years old with a 22-5-1 record and the number 4 next to his name, taking on Carlos the Nightmare Prates, 32 years old with a 22-7 record and the number 9 next to his name. Now, unlike that other fight, we know what to expect here. I expect 100% kickboxing in this fight. I mean, Carlos Prates is a fun fighter. He showcased a lot of potential as a long, lengthy striker in the division. But I don't think he's Leon Edwards-like or real championship material, to be honest. I mean, Leon's still in his prime at 34, and he has to show the world what he can do after back-to-back losses, and he only had one fight per year the past 2 years. You know, he was outclassed in his last fight, and he had piss-poor body language and energy. I think he has to be fired up for this fight, and knowing it's not a grappler, I do think we will see the best version of Leon Edwards. You know, Carlos can eliminate his loss to Ian Gary and be right in the mix with a win here and a highlight in the most famous arena in MMA at Madison Square Garden. Breaking it down, Leon has a southpaw stance. He has a black belt in BJJ. He's the former UFC welterweight champion with 2 successful title defenses. He's the first Jamaican-born champion in UFC history. He's one of 3 undisputed British champions in UFC history. The others are Michael Bisping and Tom Aspinall. He has the latest knockout and finish in UFC welterweight history with 1 second remaining against Peter Sabata. He had the 2022 knockout of the year and comeback of the year against Kamaru Usman in their second fight. He's the 2023 International Fighter of the Year. He's on a 2-fight losing streak and is 2-2 since 2023. 7 of his 22 wins are via knockout. Now, Carlos has a Muay Thai style. He has a southpaw stance. He trains out of Fighting Nerds with a black belt in BJJ. This guy, 5 of his last 6 fights have been performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He has the highest knockdown average per 15 minutes among active UFC welterweight fighters at 2.08. He was the 2024 Newcomer of the Year. He's an LFA and Contender Series alum. He's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 7-1 since 2023, 6-1 in the UFC. 17 of his 22 wins are via knockout. 3 of his 7 losses are via submission. And he does have a 4-inch reach advantage. Now, this first round is going to be savage because Carlos is going to try and knock out Leon Edwards. And the last time Leon was in the octagon, he looked slow, not very aggressive. We will know who wins this fight probably in the first 3 minutes, but I think Leon is going to have his movement back. His kicks will be plentiful. He has sharp combinations. I remember watching him when he was young in the UFC. His technicality and his flow was unmatched. I think Leon's going to wear on Carlos to get a late finish or win via decision to get back on the winning track. I think there will be levels shown in this fight, and Leon Edwards will be back. For that reason, I'm taking another underdog. The dog's coming to eat. I'm taking Leon Edwards. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Sounds like I got an underdog parlay cooking. Beneil Dariush, Leon Edwards, Chepe Mariscal. That's probably the parlay. I don't think I could add Angela Hill in there. But there's some good underdog bets. I do this a lot on pay-per-view. It doesn't always work out, but I'm feeling confident. But let's stick to the welterweight division. These guys are in a competition to get that title shot. And then we have that Ian Gary, Bilal Muhammad next week as well. We have Sean Brady, 32 years old with an 18-1 record and the number 2 next to his name, taking on Michael Morales, only 26 years old with an undefeated record, 18-0, and the number 8 next to his name. Now, the young and very talented Morales gets an opportunity to show the world how good he is and potentially leapfrog the division for a title shot if he makes a statement and gets a big win. You know, he showcased to me and the rest of the MMA world in May, he isn't to be messed with. He dominated an uber-talented Gilbert Burns. You know, Gilbert was able to take Michael down, but he couldn't hold him there. I think Sean is more determined when it comes to his grappling. And if you look at the guy's back, he's a beast. He's strong as shit. I think he will sell out for the takedown early to take Michael's striking away and try to tire him out so he could advance positions or take advantage of the situation on the feet later in the fight. You know, Michael is very long and quick. I don't think Sean's boxing, much like Gilbert's, will stand a chance if Morales stays at range and puts Sean on his back foot. I mean, Bilal Muhammad did outbox Sean Brady. Breaking it down, Sean has a submission grappling style. He has an orthodox stance. He has a black belt in BJJ. He's a Cage Fury alum and former champ with 2 successful title defenses. He's also an LFA alum. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. 6 of his 18 wins are via submission. His 1 loss via knockout. Now, Michael trains out of Entrim Gym. His last 2 fights have been performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's a Contender Series alum. He's undefeated on an 18-fight winning streak, 7-0 in the UFC. 13 of his 18 wins are via knockout, and he has a 7-inch reach advantage. Now, if Sean can't take Michael down and hold him there, I'm going to be completely wrong. I just think Brady, with his unreal strength, will chain together attempts or look to get him in the clinch, try to get a body lock to get takedowns early and often. You know, even if Morales does get taken down, he could get back up. This will play into his favor. I do think the length advantage plus the speed and precision will be too much for Sean to overcome, as we've seen him get pieced up by Bilal Muhammad, like I said before. But for the sake of picking, I'm taking Sean Brady, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. It's so fun how much we get to see the welterweight division shake out in the next 2 weeks. But moving on to the 2 double champ opportunities. We get the women's GOAT in MMA, in my opinion, Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko. 37 years old with a 25-4-1 record, taking on Zhang Magnum Weili. 36 years old with a 26-3 record. Oh, man. I mean, this is fucking huge. I am absolutely pumped. The reason it's huge is because the other prior mega fights in women's UFC has been pretty wrestling heavy. And although both of these women are talented grapplers, we are going to see amazingly beautiful kickboxing exchanges. And it's purely going to be awesome. I mean, they are 2 of the more precise, quick, and creative strikers in all of women's MMA history. I could visualize some wild exchanges, and I can't wait to see this fight shake out. Breaking it down, Valentina has a Muay Thai style. She trains out of Tiger Muay Thai. She has a 2nd Dan black belt in Taekwondo, a black belt in Judo. She's a 2003, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 world champion in Muay Thai. She's also the 2010 and 2013 World Combat Games champion. In 2013, she was a K1 champion. And in 2003, she took a bronze in Taekwondo for the World Championship. She was 2-0 in pro boxing. She's a Legacy FC alum. She's a 2-time flyweight champion. The first Kyrgyzstani UFC champion. She has 8 successful title defenses, which has all the first fighter, women or men, to have all the rubies on her belt now that the UFC's added that new belt with the rubies. She has 7 successful title defenses in her first reign, 1 in her second. She has the most title wins in UFC women's flyweight history with 10. I mean, she is the most pure mixed martial artist to ever be in the UFC. She has the second most title fight wins in women's history with 10, behind Amanda Nunes. She has the most consecutive title defenses in flyweight history with 7. The most consecutive single title defenses by a woman in UFC history was 7. She's tied with Amanda Nunes for most combined title defenses by a woman in UFC history with 8. She's the first woman to defend the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship. She's the first and only two-time UFC Women's Flyweight Champion. She has the most wins in UFC Flyweight history with 11. The most consecutive wins in Flyweight history with 9. The most knockout wins in Flyweight history with 4. The most total fight time in Flyweight history with 4 hours, 7 seconds, and 47 seconds. She has the second most total fight time in title fights with 4 hours and 23 minutes and 22 seconds, only behind Jon Jones. She has the longest average fight time in flyweight history at 19 minutes and 4 seconds. The most takedowns landed in flyweight history with 49. The most control time in flyweight history with 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 25 seconds. Also the most top position time in flyweight history, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 53 seconds. She has the fewest strikes absorbed per minute in flyweight history at 1.86. I mean, to think that she's absorbed less than 2 strikes a minute is pretty wild. She has the most total strikes landed in flyweight history at 1,963. She holds victories over 5 former UFC champions: Holly Holm, Juliana Pena, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Jessica Andrade, and Alexa Grasso. She's the 2020, 21, and 22 Female Fighter of the Year. She's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 2-1-1 since 2023. 8 of her 25 wins are via knockout, 7 via submission, so 15 of her 25 wins via finish. And she does have a 4-inch reach advantage. Now, Zhang trains out of Bang Tao Muay Thai and MMA. She has a brown belt in BJJ. She's a strawweight champion 2 times with 4 successful title defenses, 1 defense in her first reign, 3 in her second. She's tied with Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the most title fight wins in UFC women's strawweight history with 6. The second most strawweight title bouts with 8 behind Joanna. The first Chinese champion in UFC history. 3 of her last 5 fights have been performance of the night. She shows up, she shows out. She's tied for second most wins in strawweight history with 10. She has the largest striking differential in a bout in UFC women's history. She landed 288 versus 21 against Amanda Lemos. She has the most significant ground strikes landed in strawweight history with 96 against Lemos. The most total ground strikes landed in strawweight history with 225 against Amanda Lemos. And the most total strikes landed in strawweight history with 296 also against Amanda Lemos. She has the second highest striking differential in strawweight history at 2.38. She had the 2020 Fight of the Year against Joanna Jędrzejczyk 2, I think the best women's fight of all time. She was also the 2022 Comeback and Female Fighter of the Year, and she's on a 5-fight winning streak. 11 of her 26 wins are via knockout, 8 via submission, so 19 of her 26 wins via finish. I can't even comprehend how 5 rounds of this fight is going to play out. When it comes to takedowns, Tatiana, who is dominant, only got 1 out of 15 takedowns against Zhang and was 1-3 against her. I mean, Yan was able to go 3 for 3 against Weili, but Zhang had 6 of her own. Valentina got 2 takedowns out of 9 attempts against Manon Fiorot, and Fiorot was only 1 for 12 against her. Valentina had 8 takedowns and 12 attempts in her last fight against Alexa Grasso, and Alexa was only 1 out of 4. The reason I bring this up is that Valentina is naturally the bigger and stronger woman. Both women have made wrestling a crucial part of their arsenal, and if there are openings, they will attack and look for takedowns. Valentina, in that third fight against Grasso, I didn't think she could win. After a draw and a loss in the first two fights, I was like, she's aging. She's got a lot of miles on her. The only way I thought Valentina could make that win possible is if she could take her down and hold her down. And she did that. She had 16 minutes of control time. I think Valentina is going to get her takedowns and is going to be able to control time when needed if the striking exchanges are evenly contested. I do expect both women's cardio to hang for the 25 minutes, but Valentina is going to have the strength and power advantage. Zhang Weili takes a lot of chances and risks in her striking, and she leaves a lot of openings. We saw that when Rose Namajunas knocked her out 2 times. It is also interesting that Valentina is only 1 year older. She's been with the UFC since 2015 and won her first title in 2018. Plus, she has that resume of all those other mixed martial arts champions. Now, Zhang, she started in the UFC in 2018 and won her first title in 2019. Both women have careers in other sports. Again, Valentina is probably the most well-rounded mixed martial artist in both men and women's MMA history. But how many miles Valentina has on her, you'd think she'd start to slow down. Her body might be breaking down, but I haven't seen that look like the case at all. She stays in amazing shape. She trains all year round. And for that reason, I think she'll be too much to handle. If the striking is overwhelming, she'll get the takedowns and have control time. For that reason, I'm saying, and still, I'm taking Valentina Shevchenko. We're putting her on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Can't wait. I mean, this main card is unreal, man. Let's look it up real quick. What was the main card of UFC 300? The styles, the storylines, the things on the line, it's so hard to beat. So we had Alex Pereira, Jamall Hill. I think that's worse than all 5 of these fights. I figured Jamall Hill would get dominated. He did. We had Zhang Weili, Yan Xiaonan. This is a way better fight. Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. That's great. Arman Sarukian, Charles Oliveira. That's great. Bo Nickel, Cody Brundage. I think 2 of those fight compete, but I think all 5 of these fights, I mean, I haven't done my research enough, but this may be card of the year and potentially has the ability to be one of the cards of all time. But now it's the main event. We have Islam Makhachev, 34 years old with a 27-1 record, taking on Jack Della Maddalena, 29 years old with an 18-2 record. Now, Islam moving up to welterweight is honestly insane. It's the coolest thing to happen for double champ status since Alex Pereira went from middleweight to light heavyweight and become the champion. I believe Islam, because John Jones is inactive on the roster, is the true number 1 pound for pound. Purely because we're not considering John Jones. Jack, he has been very impressive. He's not even in his prime yet. He's 29 years old. And he's going to learn the hard way, I think. I mean, to be honest, Jack hasn't done anything to truly impress me as championship material besides his comeback win against Gilbert Burns in 2024. Bilal isn't the most dominant champion that we've seen at the division, and he didn't even stick with his guns wrestling his opponent, which was JDM. JDM has Craig Jones, Alexander Volkanovski in his corner to help him game plan, but I think Islam, or Creatine Islam we should say, taking time to gain weight the right way is going to be ready to smother JDM in this fight. Breaking it down, Islam has a combat Sambo style. He trains out of Eagles MMA. He has a black belt in judo. He's a 2016 World Combat Sambo champion. He's an M1 alum. He's the lightweight champion with 4 successful title defenses. The most UFC lightweight title wins with 5. Most consecutive UFC lightweight title defenses with 4. He's tied with my guy BJ Penn for most finishes in UFC lightweight title fights with 4. He's tied with Khabib for most submissions in UFC lightweight title fights with 3. 4 of his last 5 fights have been fight of the night or performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's tied with Kamaru Usman for second longest win streak in UFC history with 15. He has the longest win streak in UFC lightweight division history with 14. He has the highest significant strike accuracy in lightweight division history at 59.5%. He was the 2023, 2024, and 2025 men's pound-for-pound number 1. In 2023, he was the fighter of the year and had the fight of the year against Alexander Volkanovski in their first fight. He had the 2022 submission of the year against Charles Oliveira. He's on a 15-fight winning streak, and 13 of his 27 wins are via submission. Now, Jack has a black belt in BJJ. 6 of his last 7 fights have been performance of the night or fight of the night. He's also showing up. He's showing out. He was the 2022 newcomer of the year. He's on an 18-fight winning streak, 9-0 in the UFC. 12 of his 18 wins are via knockout, and he does have a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Now, I don't want to discredit Jack. He is a very phenomenal striker, but Islam is that dude. I think he's going to remind the world. I think Alexander Volkanovski is a tougher opponent, and Islam had defeated him twice, even finished him. Now, Volkanovski and Craig Jones have been working against the Dagestanis, helping with takedown defense, finding ways to get back up. I think he's going to have to do non-traditional wrestling get-ups. He's going to find a way to use his length with BJJ to do butterfly guards, float the hips, but I think Islam's going to be prepared for that. He's fought them as well. But if there was a way to have a game plan, having Volkanovski's already fought him and Craig Jones, it's as good as it gets. But I think the well-roundedness and the skill, Islam is just as good as anyone in the world, and I don't think Jack's going to stand a chance. Jack is going to have to find a way to catch Islam, but I think Islam knows that. Islam has great striking of his own, and I think the power change in this division is really going to open eyes. I think Islam probably walks around close to 200 pounds, and when he was a lightweight, probably at 180 anyways. So I do think this is more of his natural weight class, and we are going to see different levels of the power and the strength that Islam provides. The problem is Islam gets you against the cage and takes you down, his grip strength is so unreal. And if Jack, when defending takedowns, tries to do it the traditional wrestling way, I think he'll be open for Darce and Bravo chokes. Islam Makhachev is that dude. I will repeat myself, and he will be a double champ. We are going to have and I think we will see Islam Makhachev in the welterweight division, which is so exciting with all these contenders. Sean Brady, Carlos Prates, Ian Gary, Leon Edwards. The list goes on. I can't wait for MSG on Saturday, UFC 322. Again, these 5 fights on the pay-per-view, one of the best pay-per-views the UFC could ever put together. And sadly, next week, no more pay-per-view, of course, but we're going back to Qatar for a pay-per-view-like card. I mean, it's a great pay-per-view or a fight night card. It's headlined by number 2 ranked Arman Sarukian and 7th ranked Dan Hooker. There is some major fights in that card that will shape the landscape for certain divisions as well. But that's episode 124. I'm your host, Shane Gillette. See you next week. Oh yeah, and Boomer sooner.